So yeah, welcome to the presentation. I mean, I was just following before data strategy and so on. So now we just take an example deep dive in marketing stuff, how we transform our launch program in ZEISS in a certain business unit. But before, I'd like to introduce myself quickly. So my name is Moritz. I'm 32 years old, marketeer by education, but in times beyond ZEISS, also lifetime skier, adventurer. Just to see on my Instagram my latest Iceland adventures. In July it was nice there without any mask. And then, yeah, happy to be here and present you the ZEISS Innovation Rocks. And I will do a quick introduction to ZEISS, even if the name probably is known to you, but I will guide you to where you also find out the why we did the program as we did it, and what's the story about our transformation there. So, as Jens said before, if you remember one thing about the presentation, then please remember this crazy guy with the 1 millimeter analogy from Lake Constance. So, I am working for the industrial business unit of ZEISS, so we produce quality assurance instruments, big machines, to assure quality in automotive industry, aerospace industry, and so on. So all the big players, German car manufacturers, are our main clients. And those measuring machines have really a super precise measurement lane. And so you can imagine if a part would be in the size of Bodensee, then we could measure down to 1 millimeter change of water height in the lake. So this is really very much precise. So, but ZEISS is of course known for Carl ZEISS, founder of microscopy. We just celebrating 175 years this year, and in the meantime we have one big ambition: seeing beyond, enabling you to realize your ambitions. And normally when you talk about the company, there are many things people know and much we don't know. So in all honesty, most of the money we earn at the moment with the semiconductor industry, so building technical optical solutions for producing chips, then medical technology, eye refractoring and so on, of course the glasses, but also the photo lenses. And then my part is actually in here, where classic microscopy is coming from, but as I said, we have a big industrial area there as well. And our customers, as said before, classic automotive industry, but of course also now the big transformation, not only digital transformation, but also for us, we have to transform ourselves to become more attractive to electric vehicle topics, to aerospace topics, to additive manufacturing topics. So company quite in a restructuring mode. So here you see a classic example of how our machines and our products look like. They might be quite bulky, normally in a lab where you have constant temperatures, because even the temperature influence the measurement, but it also goes down to small objects like this, and the trend is also more and more to go into production lines, so that BMW or Daimler or whatever can just having their production line running, and we do the measurement within the production line. So now coming more closer to the topic, and I'm from marketing, so I also can say we have a business purpose, we have a brand positioning, and luckily we did this before COVID, or just before COVID, because this helped us to really strategically design a program which helps in the end to serve the customers best. And of course, you might notice this is a lot of blah blah workshops and PowerPoint bingo, but in the end it's good to have like a framework of where you can look into and say, okay, we orient ourselves towards connect to productivity and manufacture better future. It's also, maybe you notice from your companies, quite a difficult task if the brand, so the ZEISS brand, is owned by corporate functions and I'm sitting in a business unit and we are still trying to sell the brand and make it visible and experienceable to customers, and then it's always a clash between corporate functions tell you how to do it and you are in the business unit. But we did this, and this is more for the decision makers. But what we also have since 2-3 years now is like a program for the application guys. So the people working every day with the machines, and we call this measuring hero program, so measuring the objects and then becoming a hero. And this helps us to really define how to have a social media strategy, how to transform ourselves more into a video company. So we have a weekly YouTube vlog now for almost 2 years with this topic. And this also was a foundation layer, or was in our back of our mind when we then founded ZEISS Innovation Rocks 1.5 years ago. So now coming actually to the topic, adapting to the new normal, how Innovation Rocks was born. And it's actually a very personal story from myself, because when I climbed the ladder, I entered ZEISS via a digital program. I was responsible for email marketing and stuff at the beginning, but then my former boss asked me at one point, yeah, Moritz, you can do project management, why not organize the biggest trade show what we have? And it was back then in Stuttgart in Germany. And it was a big success, and everyone was thankful. We became already there, a bit more digital, but you see 120 male guys in white shirts, thumbs up, great success. And this was history, and then we acquired another company. We even became bigger in the industry, and so the task was clear. So Moritz and his team, you go even bigger, 1,500 square meters, all good. And I remember it's still a date, and you see here, COVID was already there. So until end of February, we were really planning to have the show in April, and this would have been, of course, a nice thing, also in terms of brand integration, because I was just last week at this company GOM. We are still not brand migrated because COVID made this task almost impossible. Then we had lockdown, and we had a real reset, and I was telling my bosses several times in those 6-8 weeks, we have a good program, we have good content, but we have to play it in a new way. We have to somehow sell it online. And then the first time we were shooting beginning of June, and we built a little studio in our customer center. And then we did this once again in October, and we also did it in June this year, the third time. And I tell you more about the whole program and also the results then later. And I'm just now, we are in preparation, really going big now in autumn, so we are really developing further and further, and in terms of video production and how to also make this in the end for lead generation successful, I have some tips for you today. So some buzzwords flying around. Why did we do what we did? The naming, ZEISS Innovation Rocks itself, it's not like a music idea. It's like you create rocks because one rock, it stands for something, it's a topic, and it's really something memorable. We tried to sell the idea several times to management, and only when we put a small sticker on the slide, let's call it ZEISS Innovation Rocks, it was clear, okay, this could be a series for us of launch events. And then if you put this online and not go on the trade show with the topics, then, I mean, probably you'd have the same situation. Average web stay less than 2 minutes. People are more and more mobile. There were cost restrictions. So I told you we have a industry crisis and we had COVID. So there was not much budget for me to really design something. So all those facts were flying around. You have a technology stack in a 30K employee company. You cannot just do the new Vimeo or the new YouTube within ZEISS. So all some guardrails to take care of. And so in the end we managed, and this is kind of a few, we managed that we did in spring last year, then in autumn another 6, and then this time, so in total now 15 rocks, 15 different launch events for several topics. You also see how I talked about the corporate functions, how do I influence your design. We went quite black, and this was quite aggressive compared to the white ZEISS world, and then I had to make compromises over winter to keep the program running. So now we are again back on white, but we can talk about this at some other places. Yeah, so now the question, what defines our program? What is there that the customer really sees this is a series, this was not a one-time approach, this is strategy. So what exists since ever is that we have an expert talk, and there we have a professional moderator, and we have our business leaders, mostly like business unit leaders, and it's about the details. So you see here we subtitle every video, so even the English one, And in the meantime, you see it later, we subtitle it into 9 languages. This is a revolution for ZEISS in total, not only for our division, that I do kind of a bit of an Apple keynote. And as our clients, they are great in technology, they are great in engineering, but they are not great in languages. We need to subtitle it. So this takes us the most time from video production down to release, that we really have good translation, take good care of the subtitles, and then we play, of course, with international community. We bring in people via video calls and so on. This is nothing new. This is not rocket science. The whole thing I tell you today is not rocket science, but you have to just do the work, and you have to control it, what you sell in the end. And this is mostly the opener. We call this the show, and the show also includes always kind of product reveal video. This was also new for us. Normally we put a machine on a trade show and we said, okay, this is new, buy it. So now we have a dedicated visual design language, 30 seconds, really big bang, how you launch topics. This is a new industrial microscope. And of course, it could be more spectacular. You can always spend more money on it. But we tried to find a way to have our products then also visible later on when the day is over on social media and so on. And this was more for the decision makers. Now we are coming to the point of product demonstrations. So we know statistically that, and this is quite normal, I guess, in technology companies and difficult to understand products, 4 out of 5 product demonstrations turn into revenue. So you have to, we also had to convince sales that we really film it in a way that people can understand what our new products can do for them. And then this is the key to convince people also to stay with us in touch, to ask questions, and then also in the end register for the webinar, because everything you have seen until now is free. So we don't have any registration so far. The show is kind of the eye-opener. It's there for everyone, and we have more people watching from all over the world than ever before coming to trade shows. And then the webinar is for us the lead generator, where people have to register. And you see here it's still PowerPoint based. This spring we made another adaptation and we filmed also the webinars completely. So even the webinars are kind of a movie experience, and we see that this increases a lot the conversion because this makes it a bit more human. The contact to our experts, and yeah, it's more effort, but also it pays off better. So full overview, and it is an effort, honestly, to take such a concept over 1.5 years, or even now into autumn this year, that we stick with the plan, the show talk, the reveal, the product demonstration, and the webinar, and for us it's successful with certain adaptations over time. So I quickly show you the tech stack behind. Maybe this is also interesting for you. So ZEISS, of course, having big solutions, and I mean sometimes I never ask if I can show this, but I show it. We have Adobe as a website content management system, Adobe Experience Manager. We have Marketo rolled out in the B2B segments in ZEISS. This is what I was responsible for at the beginning when I started. Email marketing and marketing automation tool, personalization module, and those two are the main platforms. Marketo helps us from the promotion down to the follow-up, of course in the end connected with SAP CRM where our salespeople jump on, but in between and also in terms of size, what is the laser here? This is WeChat, of course. So the Chinese, and this was one of the major steps, I also have it in the key takeaways, allow local executions. We thought we do a headquarter concept and it's fine. No, so the Chinese colleagues were luckily very happy to have the impulse from Germany, but they really did the concept on their own, and it was super successful, only via WeChat, not via our slow website. And then other big investments on those platforms to actually have promotion. You see later that we really took another big step compared to before. And in the meantime, we stream then via LinkedIn Live and Vimeo on the website, and the webinars are on GoToWebinar. There are a million other tools, I know. Everyone has its own solutions. For us, it's at the moment the best stable, reliable solution because we have then all those things connected. So there is a clear lead management behind running through, and you can get scorings and so on, all that. So now coming more to the results and what we did and how it ended. But before coming to business impact, I want to show you what we did for this spring, which is still quite fresh. So we went then from our customer center where we filmed last year, we went into our own production area. So in Aalen-Oberkochen, so in rural Baden-Württemberg, we have our headquarters, and there, of course, also production halls. And it was like we jumped with an alien studio into our production to showcase that we have very much craftsmanship in our production. This was like the main theme of spring edition. But internally, we really did a big change in terms of the concept, driving it more to the webinars. Last year, we wanted to make the big wow with the show. Now it turns more and more into the wow with the webinars, because we feel or we see that everyone is doing webinars out there, and you have to make a difference in the quality of the webinars that people register. So, and this starts even with the promotion, so more dedicated ads programs and so on, and sales became more part. So we have now always a sales guy and a technical guy explaining stuff. At the beginning this was not so much clear to us. We have individual per topic, we have individual teaser. We just did a survey last week. This was the main conversion driver. So it's not enough to do one event teaser overall, but you need, if you have different event types or single events within your event week, then invest into those videos, and this really helps sales to convince people to take part. And then, as I said, it's a pain, 9 languages times all the material, but you will see in a second that this really helped us to become better. And now last slide before we see real results. The whole Innovation Rocks topic helped us to become finally, to have this content pool. So we did now 15 shows in 12, 13 months. We have launch demos filmed, we have webinars, and I don't talk about the PowerPoint webinars. We really have now nice video filmed, localized webinars. All this gives us, now when we go in October, we have 4 or 5 shows coming up in Italy, in Germany, and now I can completely differently play the media game on trade show booths, because we have now a big set of video stuff and supporting material. So we start from top of funnel and then go down to funnel. And please excuse me, I don't have any numbers on the side, but you can see by the ratio somehow what the result is. And I start with the global online impressions, and I try to visualize it. I'm not into movies, but I wrote on top the approach before COVID came. This was more like Flintstones, Stone Age, how we do ads programs. And then I just said, well, if we don't have the trade show now, what I was talking about 15 minutes ago, then let's put all the money we would have spent on physical banners and things on the trade show booth, let's put it into Google ad network. And then, I mean, we went quite brave, and we're shooting with all the arrows we have also in autumn again. So now in spring it became much better, and we spent less, but the output was much better, because we really learned, and you only learn it when you really invest high, relatively high, over a certain time span, where you pick up your targets and your contacts. And in the meantime, we just learn with more investment into trailers, then also YouTube ad makes more sense. Again, it's not a rocket science, but it was a big step for us in the company to have those learnings and to come back now also kind of after COVID phase with a much better retargeting list and all the stuff. So these are intangible values which came along with the investment. And I think you can see now copy paste the website visits. The difference at the beginning is, I mean, we live normally from direct, so people know ZEISS kind of in the industry, they come to our website. So now we completely send a new pack of people onto our websites. Also China made a big step forward in terms of WeChat promotion and so on. And this is why we have now, I don't know, watchers from Bangladesh and from Chile and all the way around the world, which are not the traditional main industry markets, but I can really sell now to the management that this investment makes sense, because this is a difference between the normal trade shows everyone knows And this is more like our Apple keynote where everyone can join from all over the world. What's interesting maybe for you, and maybe you had the same experiences before, if you split an event over several days, or last year we said, okay, let's do 4 rocks over 4 weeks, every week 1 rock. It's not because of the interest of the topic, but it just declines the interest. And I mean, we are all sitting here maybe checking our phone every 5 minutes. Yeah, the attention span really goes more and more down. And so we learned we have to bring the event closer together, 6 rocks over 2 weeks, now 5 rocks in 2 weeks in spring. Still, you can see it's decreasing. So this is for us a clear learning. If we now in autumn have a set of launches, and what is the most important one, what is the topic we want to talk first, we put it first. So that's completely clear. You cannot put everything on one day. This is also not possible in our case with all the localization and the different admin stuff to host the events. But that was really interesting. Nevertheless, I mean, LinkedIn Live helped us really much in the last years. Again, this is not big numbers if you talk about consumer industry, but for our niche market in the quality assurance business, it's quite good. And now the most compelling or the most satisfying slide for us is webinar registrations and therefore then also outcome. And just look at the colors. This is how we more and more localized it. So at the beginning, green, German, English, white, and in the meantime, these are, and then that's the good times for a marketeer. If you suddenly see Korea, the blue one, bright blue one, popping up, really did a great job locally to promote the program, and then also see in the end, in the results, that things which you create in Germany turn out well also in the countries. On the other hand side, we really have to talk to main European markets like Italian, Spanish stuff, French. Honestly, they are still a bit lazy. So convincing the countries, making clear that there is no way back to purely normal sales contact, face-to-face, trade shows. You have to also work on those programs. There are still steps to go, but we are super happy. And this also, I make now more and more references also to the traditional face-to-face trade show channel. So again, this is our major show. It's called Control globally. And when you look back, how many visitors from countries we had there, and this is now really convincing that we have all the other countries also covered. This is really nice. And that's so-called the MQP country of origin. So we have really this well-defined in ZEISS. Marketing qualified person is someone who has kind of interest, registering for webinars and so on. And now we are also going one level down, elite. So when we talk about elite in ZEISS language, it's already a quest for sales or demo request or things like that, quotation. And in this round here, I proudly present the slide. When I presented to sales, head of global sales, he says, Moritz, go away with the slide. You cannot compare it, but I think we can compare it in the end, because the costs for those big shows before COVID, they were just high. I mean, we had record years. We were throwing around money for show booths and so on. And you clearly see that the cost per event, but also then the cost per lead goes down and down. And then he tells me, well, yeah, we had again a show in China this spring and it was super successful. And then, yes, I congratulate ourselves, but I want to see the events, the face-to-face events now in October. I don't know if someone appears, and we still have the costs for the booth and so on. So I want to really compare numbers when we have an after COVID trade show live again, and then we see where it goes. But we clearly built a second pillar of how lead generation can be also done in a digital way. And of course, it's a very, very much internal driven and motivational program. You have really people behind the camera. You have the conversation now via Microsoft Teams when you launch something internally or via the stream. China is super happy showing. I mean, they were building this green screen studio without telling us, and then they just, Tony from China tells me, okay, we are super successful. So this is really what makes us confident that this is the right model. And now coming more to the end of the presentation, what is our next step. And I have this slide already half a year, and I thought this year is the hybrid, next year it's still not hybrid, even if we are now finally meeting again. But what we need to do is really edutainment. I hope this half an hour for you is a bit of edutainment, but we really have to make it even more live and interactive. And I mean, I guess there's no competitor here sitting around, so I can tell that we are now going away from our kind of living room, Wohnzimmer in our headquarters, when we in October go into a big LED studio, like Mercedes or Porsche launched their latest cars, and we'll do this again because we want to make the next step and really keep the people watching, keep them on the screen and convince them every minute counts. Become part of something big. The interaction still is low in our industry, so we don't have the most enthusiastic customers, so we really have to make sure that they feel they are part of a community and that the interaction, the Q&As become more and more lively, and in the end the get in touch with our team is very much important. So learnings, and I'm finished in 2 minutes. Keep reinventing yourself. I think every one of us had the situation in the last 1.5 years getting questions, how can we move on, what's next? And I thought every time we did now the rocks, I thought, okay, now this is the concept we do for another time. And 2 months later, we come up with a completely new systematic, things are changing, so keep doing new stuff and build it. So this is just my recommendation. If you sell such a concept to management, then tell them it's not because competitors doing this and that and we do it for once, but try to found a layer where they understand this is a new work stream. This is something where we invest in now, but also we do plannings for next year. And it's really happy, or a good situation I have now. I got a new VP marketing 6 weeks ago, and the only thing when he came the first time thing he said was, okay, but we continue with the innovation rocks. And I said, yeah, well, I see what you want to do, but hopefully we can keep the program because we and the team are super convinced to do it. This is something I think every one of us can relate with that. We did small mistakes in subtitles and so on at the beginning last year, and we got more or less an internal shitstorm, but this is really, and this is this detail work, and I have luckily a good team around me, but even if this is kind of a niche market, technology, engineering and so on, still those guys are on Amazon, are on YouTube, and if they get a video from us, they still expect perfect. And ZEISS is kind of this lens and vision company, optics company, so even more camera, everything has to be fine. So this is also something we learned. I learned an event over 4 weeks doesn't make sense, so keep it concentrated, and that's also why we do only one show now in autumn. We did before every time a show per rock, so now it's only one single show and only then the webinars come. I talked about the local executions, and then I think, I don't know who of you is in marketing, but we have proven in the last 1.5 years that on paper we put much more contribution into the funnel, our so-called marketing qualified persons, our so-called leads. Still sales, I don't know if anyone of you is from sales, still doubtful, not always accepting it. They want to, of course, go out again and wake up in Stuttgart and go in the morning to Porsche and in the afternoon to Daimler and sell the machines. Hopefully this is happening again soon, but we really take care that there is a future or at least a second lane where we can rely on. Yeah.